to my colleague, Ranking Member Reed.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and let me welcome General Donovan and General Rudd. Thank you, gentlemen, for your distinguished service to the nation. I also want to thank you for stepping forward to assume these very critical jobs at a very, very difficult moment. Also, let me extend my appreciation to your families who've been with you every step of the way and will continue to support you in these difficult tasks. I think we have to start first, though, with addressing the unusual conditions around your nominations. General Donovan, your predecessor, Admiral Alvin Halsey, served as commander of Southcom for less than 1 year before his unexpected resignation last fall amid the U.S. military buildup in the region. General Rudd, your predecessor, General Timothy Hawk, served as commander of Cybercom for less than 2 years before he was fired by President Trump for no apparent reason other than the reported urgings of a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Indeed, in less than 1 year in office, President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have fired or pushed into early retirement more than a dozen 3- and 4-star generals and admirals, in addition to hundreds, if not thousands, of military service members who have been pushed out for dubious reasons. I'd like to take a moment at this time to salute Admiral Halsey and General Hawk, who each served this nation honorably for 3.5 decades and led their fellow sailors, soldiers, airmen, Marines, and Guardians with dedication and skill. General Donovan, if confirmed as commander of U.S. Southern Command, you will immediately be placed in a challenging situation. Over the past 6 months, the Trump administration has surged massive military force into the Southcom area of responsibility, including the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, the Iwo Jima Amphibious Radio Group, the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, attack submarines, P-8 Poseidon aircraft, Aegis destroyers, and fleets of fighter aircraft, among many other platforms. The administration claimed for months that the force was intended for its narco-trafficking boat strike campaign, which has killed 125 people in the Caribbean and Pacific. However, as my colleagues and I warned from the beginning, it appeared that the buildup was intended eventually for some expedition into Venezuela. That buildup culminated with the military raid in Caracas 2 weeks ago. The operation itself was perfectly executed and a true testament to American military capability. Every American should be proud of our service members and glad that Nicolas Maduro, a brutal dictator who destroyed his country, is gone. But military capability is not the same as strategic wisdom. The aftermath of this operation is still very uncertain and could have enormous impacts on the region and the United States. It is unclear if military attacks on narco-trafficking boats will continue, or if the sole focus will now be on interdicting tankers carrying Venezuelan oil. There is also no clear answer on how long this enormous buildup of U.S. military assets will remain in the Caribbean. Finally, I've seen no credible contingency plans for the possible collapse of the Venezuelan government and the violence and potential American military involvement that would follow such a collapse. General Donovan, if confirmed, you will lead American forces in this tenuous environment. I'm interested in how you plan to approach the immediate issues facing Southcom. In addition, Southcom has long faced resource constraints while contending with growing strategic competition from China and Russia, nations that have gained influence through investments in strategic locations throughout South America. Southcom now has an enormous set of resources, but they do not seem to be postured for threats from near-peer competitors. I'd like to know how you would intend to manage this influx of assets, whether you believe they remain available, and if you believe they should be postured to counter narco-trafficking or the growing influence from China and Russia in the region. General Rudd, you are nominated to be Commander of Cyber Command and Director of the National Security Agency. I would note that the committee has waited 9 months for your nomination and this hearing. The men and women of Cybercom and the NSA are the finest in the world at what they do, and I want to commend them for their commitment and performance despite this uncertainty. General, you have led a distinguished career as a Special Forces officer, and I thank you for that. However, your background does not include expertise in cyber operations or signals intelligence, areas that are central to this dual command. If confirmed, you would lead at a critical moment as we evolve the cyber force under Cybercom 2.0, while entering a window of vulnerability with China. I would like to know what exposure you have had to cyber tools or signals intelligence during your time at SOCOM and INDOPACOM that have prepared you to lead the agency. Finally, over the last decade, there has been a recurring debate over whether to sustain the dual hat arrangement, whereby the commander of Cybercom also serves as director of the NSA. Independent expert panels and this committee generally have concluded that the dual hat arrangement should be sustained. I would welcome your thoughts on this issue. Again, gentlemen, thank you for your service, your willingness to step forward. Throughout your careers, you have demonstrated the character and the courage that is essential to leading, and I know you'll continue to demonstrate that character and courage. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.